You know, the sounds of the labbaik and what it resonates in each and every Muslim's heart and soul is difficult to describe. And I think it just has so much more of an impact when one is present, because that's what it says, present in the Holy Land, to which we say the Hujjaj have been invited by Almighty Allah. What a privilege, what an honor, what a great moment in the lives of all of the Hujjaj that are there. And we recap all of this with our very special guest, Moeshfieka Botha. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Moeshfieka.
Wa alaikum assalam, Aunty Najwa. Shukran for having me.
The pleasure is ours. Sister Moeshfieka, what can you say in response to what I was saying about the labbaik?
Just that little 2-seconder that you played there literally just brought me to tears. Just the little intro that you played there. And I think
Mhm.
it is because it is so special and it takes me back to my own journey. It takes me back to how excited and nervous I was. And then ultimately, just how small yet completely big in terms of importance you felt, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose me. He called me, invited me to fulfill this fifth pillar of my deen. He's given me the opportunity. He's given me the opportunities to stand on the on the plains of Arafah in the Waqf of Wukuf and make dua for my deceased parent, for my family, for my children, for myself. And just that, the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this, He's
Mm,
given us the opportunity and the privilege of
indeed.
being there. It really just still just sits so much with me, but in the most positive, beautiful way, alhamdulillah.
Of course. What was the build up to it like? I mean, now we have to be registered and then you're on the waiting list and then eventually you are called up. That, in fact, is already an anticipation that has a bit of nervousness, excitement. Am I ready? Am I not ready? Yes, I'm ready. And then when you actually get your name called up, so to speak, then it's like, okay, here's my invitation. What was it like then?
Well, funnily enough, they do say there is when you speak to the various hujaj, they do say that in the run up to going for Hajj, there are so many things. Your tests come from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala in so many different ways,
Hmm.
and it seemed that was it for us before we physically got onto the aeroplane to go for Hajj. So alhamdulillah,
Mm.
before that, we had a with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we did not have a very good time in any way. It was
Okay.
difficult on every level. And yet when we got the invitation, I was like, are we going? We are going, we are accepting, we will get there. We will
Right.
get there. And then
Right.
it just in those months after accepting, after our registration had been done, um, not for 1 second, not for 1 second did I doubt. Though the reality might have been very different. In my head was, I've been called for Hajj, I'm going for Hajj. And Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we did. And it is also so lovely that in Cape Town we have very beautiful traditions of the whole entire community coming to visit, and
Right.
you have the dhikr jamas and people coming around to your home. And my husband and I are both in the media industry, so we had so many and every person's dua, the amount of du'as that we received is something that I always hold so dear. I remember each and every person, and I took that with me.
Hmm.
When somebody came to greet you and they brought a plate of pies, and they said, you know what, make dua for me, make dua for my child
Allah.
who
Mm.
is on drugs, make dua for my mother who is ill, make dua for me. I took that to heart, and I tried to the best of my ability to do that. But the Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, my husband and I were actually speaking about it last night as we were glued to the television and watching all the imagery. And Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we had a seamless Hajj with the mercy and grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Alhamdulillah, you are so fortunate. You know, when you
Oh,
speak about the community in Cape Town, um, I just wish I was Cape Townian when it comes to that.
there's
That
nothing like
spirit.
it.
Absolutely, that spirit. And, you know, just
Yeah,
giving that amount of value to the person that's going for Hajj
yeah.
is truly admirable. And we should, in fact, emulate that as much as possible, even all of us up here in Johannesburg. You know, you speak about becoming emotional. Remembering what you experienced. For me, when you speak about that spirit, it moves me a lot, because I know even the return of the hujjaj is something
Absolutely.
else in Cape Town.
And Auntie Najma, we afterwards, like months afterwards, we actually sat and I said to my husband, "Do you know how many people we had here? Where did we get all the things? Where did everything come from for that week before? Because there was no way that in our minds we prepared for all of this. But Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, the barakah that comes with the love, the care, there
Yes.
is the Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. And when we came home, they were it was amazing. When we came home, there were pots of food made, and everyone
Ah,
was there, and the tables had been laid, and everyone was there to welcome you and to wish you a Hajj Maqbool and a Hajj Mabrur, inshallah, and to join in. And everybody wants to hear. It is amazing. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. This community, when it comes to Hajj time,
yes.
is absolutely amazing. Alhamdulillah.
I think the whole symbolism behind that is it also indicates that you are very special now. You know, it makes you feel so special. And there are millions that are on the same journey, yet one feels singled out. One feels,
Yes.
I'm the one. One feels closely connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think there you can share with us what it was like for you when you first viewed the Kaaba, and then take us through your 5 days of Hajj.
Auntie Najma, I must say to you that something that stood out for me was when I first viewed the Kaaba. It still to this day it was surreal. It was very
Yep.
surreal. Like, am I here? is
Mm.
is this am I here? And then as during our Hajj period, again, I remember specifically, I remember particularly one morning in Tahajjud Salah. And I Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, I like I said, it was such a seamless journey, it was such a beautiful journey. And I was never one to attach myself to groups in particular. So I was kind of always on my own, which meant that you could find space very easily. So
Correct.
Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin, I always managed to find space where I could see the Kaaba. I could see the Kaaba. And then
MashaAllah.
one morning
Mm.
in particular, it was I remember that morning specifically. You know what, I was making dua for my deceased father, and I was bawling, I was in tears, and only afterwards, when you realize it and you look to your left and you look to your right, and you realize that everybody else there is in the same state of mind, but it doesn't matter, because to me, at the Kaaba, it felt like the best conversation that I could have with my Rob. It felt
Mhm.
like the best connection that I could have with my creator.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize that everybody is having that conversation with Allah
Correct.
subhanahu wa ta'ala. And
Correct.
everybody is being responded to by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Allahu
And
Akbar.
I think that that is just amazing. So, in the run up to your days of Hajj, you also have those sort of experiences where you do become so close because you get the opportunity. You get the you literally get the opportunity to be able to speak to Allah, to be able to be there. So, in when the days of Hajj came, I must say to you, Auntie, that I wasn't very nervous. I was actually, I had there was a lot of peace, a lot of contentment, a lot of excitedness. I was very, very excited to go. But a few days before we left for Mina, my husband said to me, if there was, because we're very involved in the community as well, and we said if there was one thing that you'd take home at this point in time, if there's one thing that you would take home at this point in time from your Hajj, what would that be? And I
Mm-hmm.
said to him, it would be that when we are here as an ummah, it's the ummah of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we are here as one. And we say that, and we see that, and we experience that, and we project that. There is no differentiation. Yet in
Correct.
South Africa, sadly, I find that in the Muslim community, there are those differentiations with regards to
True.
social status, with regards to wealth, with regards to race, with regards to foreign nationals and South Africans. There are those differentiations, but when we are here, we so gladly embrace all of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's humanity. But when we go
Absolutely.
home, we make those differentiations. And so I said, you know what? I need to personally um, have, I need to take that home and take that message home. And I need to be able to tell people that that is not um, what I want to do. We should be changing that.
Mm-hmm.
I need to connect more with my brothers and sisters from Africa. I need to be that was before we went up to
Mm-hmm.
Mina.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when we go up to Mina, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have it, our group from South Africa, Mina has the different camps, and then
Correct.
there's the South African camp. So
Mm-hmm.
our group was not placed in the South African camp. Our
Oh.
group was placed separately with the African camp.
Uh-huh.
So I remember, and I'm the first thing I'm doing, I'm trying to find my husband, and I'm saying, Nazim, can you see? Can you see? Allah listens. Allah listens when
Allahu
we
Akbar.
think He doesn't.
Yes,
When
yes,
we
yes,
think He
yes.
doesn't. So even that, we were then there with, if I remember correctly, it was the Ivory Coast, it was Nigeria, it was Zambia, it was, it was just, it was what I it was what I personally needed it
Mm,
um, to be.
mm. And
And
and and
until
yeah, sorry, how were you received by your fellow pilgrims in the camp?
it was beautiful. Alhamdulillah, it was absolutely and utterly beautiful. We interacted as Muslim women. We interacted as everyone who was there for the same purpose.
Uh-huh.
It was
Uh-huh.
so beautiful. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. And you know what? Many pilgrims tend to say, oh no, and the facilities at Mina and the ablution facilities. And I'm like, I don't even care. We are here. We
Ah.
are here. And I must also say to you that that at that particular time it was very hot.
Uh-huh.
We experienced a very, very, very hot few days of Hajj. So before we left for Mina, Sauk came to us and they came around. Obviously, they went to to all the various groups, and we were told that for the first time in 2019, the government was putting air conditioners in the tents on Arafah because of the heat. It was expected to reach something like 50 degrees, but we were having some very, very hot days.
I can
So
imagine.
when we got to Arafah, our tents were actually ice cold. The
Oh,
tents were ice cold. It was so cold. We got there very early and it was
right.
ice cold because
Yeah.
of all these air
The
conditioners.
cooling system. Yeah.
It was ice cold. But it quickly warmed up. So by 11 o'clock on that morning, 11 o'clock on that morning, the air conditioners just stopped working. They decided to put the air conditioners off because it was just it couldn't function with the heat anymore. It was just blowing warm air through it was too hot. The air conditioners were put off at 11 o'clock.
Uh
By the
huh.
time the walk of Wukuf came in, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, it was so hot. I remember my husband and I in the road, and we had to literally put our musallas down, fold it 3 times just so that we could stand on it. The heat was just coming through.
Mm.
And there was a building on the plains of Arafah, close to where our tent was. And we actually we found our way to the top of the building, and
Uh
we were
huh.
standing there and we were making dua, and there were other pilgrims with us, and they weren't all South African. I don't know, somehow the other we everybody just kind of said, "Oh, okay, there's something there, let's go." And so when we were standing right at the top, it was so hot, but we heard, you could hear rumblings, and we looked, and I remember looking, and we saw these clouds just forming. The
Oh
clouds were
my.
just gathering, and wallahi, they came over us. Those clouds gathered and they broke, and a storm raged, Auntie, an absolute storm. It was wind, it was hail, it
Oh.
was rain, it was, wallahi, it was as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was cleansing our bodies and our souls. It was
Mm-hmm.
the most, the experience was just, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, besides just being able to be there in that walk of wukuf, and speaking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and making dua for our children, our parents, the ummah. Um, just having that again, nobody, it wasn't on any weather prediction. It
Right.
was not, nobody saw it coming. Nobody was prepared for it. No one.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I found very amazing was when we left after Maghrib, we left the plains of Arafat to go to Muzdalifah. It was dry. Just leaving the plains of Arafah, there was no rain there.
Uh huh. Wow.
It was as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was, his rahmah was fell on us as those pilgrims, as his guests. And that is an amazing experience. Muzdalifah, to me, Auntie, was really such an experience. Our group, the Cape Townian groups, very often take the concession and leave at 12 p.m. But my husband and I chose, and we arranged it with our group leader before the time, to say that we weren't going to take the concession and stay till 12. We wanted to stay till Fajr. So we were the only two Capetonians from our group, and there was another couple from Johannesburg, and we stayed. And again, it was as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just heard my inner du'as, heard my innermost feeling. And we were there, and we were there early, and then as the night progressed, more and more people from Africa came, and it was so beautiful, and everybody had just come from Arafah, and everybody had just experienced this, and the embraces that we received, the
Uh-huh.
joy, the kindness, the just the absolute spirit of Islam was so present there. It was
Alhamdulillah.
so present. It was beautiful, mashallah,
Mhm.
beautiful.
Sister Mushfika, there's a Sister Sumaya Muhammad that's, I think, so excited about our conversation because she says she was also there at the time. She was there with Khidmatul Awam, and also that it only rained in Arafah on that day. So there's a lot of sharing that she's doing with us this morning. So I can imagine how all of the other Hujjaj that were on trips before this are in fact. Sharing this moment with you and I, and she does also say that the best sleep she's ever had was in Muzdalifah. So that spirit is kept alive. You're saying that the practice of each and every of our rituals and obligations and faraid acts that you perform during the Hajj, just because you're so close to Allah Ta'ala at the time in that space, I'm sure it takes on a completely different meaning altogether. In unity.
Absolutely, yes,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
does.
especially, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
And then and again, just the imagery that we were looking at last night, and you see the vastness, you see the vastness of the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you see the vastness of the beauty of Islam, and you shukr Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for being Muslim and
Yes.
for making you able to be a part of this. And I don't know why I'm usually very
Oh, we've
excited.
just,
But
yeah.
yesterday, for the first time, I looked at the pics, and it never occurred to me that I don't know what it was. But in when I was performing my entire 5 days of Hajj, it was me. Only last night, looking at those pics, did I think, oh, but there were all these other people around me. When I
Uh-huh.
looked at the crowds last night, I realized, Mushfika, you were part of those crowds. But Auntie Najma didn't feel like that. It didn't
Uh-huh.
feel like that. It just felt like it
Amazing.
was me. It was me. It was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was speaking to me and guiding me closer towards Him. So Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, it really it makes
Yeah,
you feel small but so huge all at the same time.
I'm sure. Also, coming back home, and you've described it as being reborn, as it were. Very quickly, take us through what it's like when you come back and you back into this material life and our obligations, responsibilities. We get caught up in society, and again, it's almost as if you just one needs to be cognizant of the fact that you need to stay connected. How did you go about doing that, Mushfika?
And Najma, to me, it was there was a I know there's this aha moment. I had my moment, and I was like, you know what? This world is fleeting. This dunya is fleeting. So I have just in then it's things that we say, but it's not really things that. So I've really just tried to instill within myself to just do better and be better
Yes,
in terms of Islam each and every single day. And I'm really not too concerned about, I've never have been, but I'm very much somebody that's it's very much, you know what, Allah knows, Allah sees, and uh, it's just one thing that I do again try, which was what I was speaking about when I was on my Hajj. It is trying to be very actively more inclusive and trying. really to get people to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's grace and mercy extends to us all. And if we can, if we blithely say, and we say it and we see it, and we say, oh, look at Arafah, look at the days of Hajj, everybody is the same, from
Yes.
prince to pauper, then that is something that we've got to come back with and carry out and say that everybody is the
Equal.
same.
Yes.
So
And I think,
Alhamdulillah, you know what? Dunya is fleeting. Hajj tells you, it teaches you, and that, you know what, prepare for your akhirah. Because if this closeness that you get here on your Hajj is the absolute joy that you experience in that little bit of closeness with your Maker, you really want to be working on this dunya to make your akhirah, not for just for yourself, but for your children, and for everybody.
and the society at large, yes. Um, I also want to just mention that you've picked a certain point, a very strong one from the last sermon of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he mentioned sallallahu alaihi wasallam that no man is superior to any man, black or white, Arab or non-Arab. And there are so
Yes.
many other of those important messages that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam addressed in that last sermon of his. And I think that is what we need to focus on, and inshallah be motivated to continue to fulfill what he said was his last message. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So, Sister Mushfika, I think I could sit with you all day to share your experiences in this incredibly deep um, and profound, if you like, experience of spirituality. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah so much for sharing with us. And may Allah accept all of your du'as. And inshallah, you and your family have a wonderful Eid from all of us here at Salam Media.
I mean, Jazakallah for the opportunity to share, and Eid Mubarak to everyone at Salam Media too, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam.
When we come back, we speak to our very special guest, Maulana Imran Nabi, understanding the story of the prophets Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam and the origins of Hajj. And of course, there in Saudi Arabia today is the day of the sacrifice. It is Eid there today. But we will focus on a bit more in our conversation with him after this.